Hi, it's Gadget UK here again, back with the A590. Now this is a different one. This was provided by Tom Meades. You can see he sent me a nice cover letter with this. Hi Chris, in the box all the parts for an A590 excluding screws on the mainboard. PAL at U5, I believe that's for the RAM, is marked as bad. I'm sure that is correct. DMA chip is not tested, but I have no reason to believe it's faulty. Found an extra couple of EPROMs there. These can be used to program new ROMs for the controller, as currently has Rev 6.6 ROMs. Top case has some damage on screw posts from screws being cross-threaded. What else has he said there? Yeah, so yeah, the drive power cable missing in action, so I'll need to make something there. All the best, Tom Meades. So thank you very, very much for sending this, Tom, because the one I've got myself, you know, is not got a cover like this, and you can see it looks really good, actually. Obviously, got a bit of Velcro there that needs to come off and needs a bit of a clean up. Now, he did say the screw mounts here are damaged, and that is evident. You can see that. The back one's worse than the front ones. The front ones are certainly split, but everything is there, including the fan, which is nice. And then he's got these EPROMs here that he's included, so that's very cool. And the original SCSI cable, it needs a bit of a clean, but that's in one piece. And what have we got here? These might be gowels that I ordered, because I believe in advance of this I ordered some gowels, assuming that's what we'd need to place. Yeah, the 16 V8Ds, these were two new chips I ordered, so let's hope those work. I should have tested them months ago. It's been sat here for months. It's got the original Quantum SCSI hard disk here, so it'll be interesting to see whether that works. I seriously doubt it. If it does, fantastic. Then we've got the main board and the shielding. I didn't realise they had this giant piece of shield, and you can see that's seen better days. It's a bit bent and stuff, but we can straighten that out a little bit. And then we have the A590. So he's got a cross on there. He thinks that's the fault, and it does say the RAM control. So I think what will probably happen is we'll connect this up and it probably won't show any RAM at all, maybe. But maybe the SCSI will work, I don't know. We'll give it a try, let's see. Now, if you remember the previous video, the end of that video, one of the things I did is I joined the 5 volts to ground and the plus 12 between here, this connector, and the points up here actually, to feed the board from the A500 side. So I'm going to do that right at the start here, because I don't have a power supply for this, and as we saw in that previous video, it's easy to cause problems where chips start to fry and stuff if you don't power these in the right order. You know, they've got to be literally powered on at the same point in time. So I'll need to remove these nuts here. Maybe the odd screw there, I'm not sure. I don't see any screws holding that board down actually. It's like it's just held in here at this point. Yeah, that's starting to lift up. Oh, there's a bolt here, look, what's that? Yeah, it's a good job I didn't force that. That's quite a large screw, that. So I might be able to use some M3 or M4 bolts or something for this, I'm not sure. Anyway, let's see if that will come out now. Yeah, there we go. So we've got the board out. We'll do our little wire mod underneath to power it, and we'll go and try it. So you can see the 590 from the previous video here actually, and I've just cut two wires the same length because it's going to be identical. I'm stripping them differently here. I'm using a proper wire stripper. This is probably the first time you've seen me attempt to use one of these. I'm just looking at the best one here. It's going to be that one, I think. Try 0.75. Yeah, there you go. So that is probably the first time you've seen me use proper wire strippers. I've had these things for 20 odd years, but yeah, it's just often easier just to use a pair of wire cutters and just do it the old way. But it doesn't make light work of it, I have to admit. At the end of the last video, I said I was going to secure these with hot glue. I'll do that within this video actually, when I do this on this other board. So if I move my original one out of the way, and if we flip this upside down, soldering iron is on, turn the end of that wire up. Probably going to need to trim that down a bit now because it's way too long. Just gone on the board there, look, get that off in a sec. So yeah, yellow wants to go there. And if memory serves, I think that's the +12 actually, because I think I went with red for +5. I could be wrong. It's got the same factory fix on there that the other board has as well. So turn up the red, and the red is this little one down here that goes to the little fire. There we go. So then the red is the third one down on the inside edge, and the yellow, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, fifth one down on the outside edge. So I'm adding the solder in advance, let's make it a bit easier. So red, as I say, wants to go to, hang on, I need to turn that end up. So red to the third one, as I say. That's it. Turn up the yellow end. Again, cut a load of that down because it doesn't need to be anywhere near that long. And yellow wants to go to the fifth one on the outside edge. Oh, be careful not to bridge anything or make sure it's nowhere near anything here. And that should be it. So yeah, these wires do need to be moved out of the way a little bit like that, and then hot glued down. So I can do that afterwards. Just making sure those aren't shorting anywhere, and they're not. So we can go and connect this up to an A500. I'll perhaps go with the A500 Plus again. So the 500 Plus you saw me fix in a previous video with all the damage around here. This is the one that's got the solid core switchable ROM, so you can have different versions of Kickstart, and I'm using the Super Denise adapter there as well, because I think I probably took the Super Denise from this for my A2000. Strictly speaking, I should just swap them around now. There probably is enough space to fit that in the A2000. And the good news is, it still works. When I did that repair, there were a number of people in the chat there, you know, in the comments, saying, "No, that won't last, that won't be reliable, no way, you'll be revisiting that every 2 weeks." Well, if you cast your mind back of how long ago that video was done, it's well over a year ago now, I'm sure, maybe 18 months ago. This board has been used an awful lot. It's, you know, in and out of a pile of boards I've got here, so it gets thrown about, chips in, chips out, things in and out of here, you know, things connected up, disconnected, etc. It's been rock solid. Anyway, let's now connect this up. So I'll switch the power off, and we'll carefully just try and slide this into position. So switch 1's up there, which I think means auto boot's enabled. I've looked at everything here and everything seems to be alright. There's a couple of RAMs that are a different manufacturer here, so anybody's guess as to whether we'll have an actual faulty RAM there. We'll just have to see how we get on with it, really. That chip obviously has got that X on it. So I think that's hanging at the lighter grey screen, isn't it? I think, which would normally indicate a RAM fault. Let's just try that again. Yeah, it's dark grey, light grey, then it should go white, and it isn't doing. So the first thing we'll do is just have a feel on top of the chips here. Yeah, no clues, everything seems okay temperature wise. So I mean, that is marked up with an X. It's socketed. Let me remove it. We'll swap the one from the other board, just see if it works. If that solves it, we'll go and program up one of these and see if the replacement works. So I've powered it off. Let's try and get this chip out. I mean, it's definitely been out of this socket before, because as Tom kindly said, it's faulty. That's why he's marked it with an X. So I put that there, and the replacement chip here is from the other board. Let's just see if it's any difference with that in. So switch it on, and the answer is yes, that works. So it really is the case of that chip is faulty. So Tom's took all the hard work out of this particular repair. So I've connected up a floppy drive there. I'm just going to plug in the mouse. That's booted. I made a pretty noisy racket there, didn't it? I think I've got the mouse in the wrong connector actually. Yeah, there we go. So if I have a look at memory, yeah, there we go. We've got 2 meg fast. Let's just do test all and see what that comes back with. this could be a really short and sweet repair, because the way things look at the moment, all I need to do is go and program up that gal, and hopefully this should be up and running. We will reprogram the ROMs as well, I think. Now, he did include some replacement chips there, but I'll probably just reuse these. These are the same ones I had, I think, 6.6. That must have been quite a common revision towards certainly the end of the life of these. And there you go, it's on to past 2.3, so the RAM is good. So we've got our suitable replacement gal there. You can see it's a 16V8D. I'm using the Mini Pro TL866 here. It's not the latest version of this. This is like a Model 2 or something, Mark II. You can see it is an A, I think, though, or a C or something, I'm not sure. Anyway, we connect that up to the PC. And in the software here, we select GAL 16V8, do file, open. And if we select the GAL, select the .jed file there, it just contains the fuse map. You can see these are ones and zeros. And we just do device, program. Now the lock bit's set there, so that means that won't be rewritable. I shouldn't have done that, but it doesn't really matter, because I've done this twice. The other one I've done off camera. I haven't set the lock bit, but you can see that that's successful. And if we verify it, now the interesting thing with the verify, you'll find it'll fail there. The reason being is because we set the lock bit. Sorry, and it's encrypted. You can see down here this encrypt CH. If those two things are set, well, I'm not sure which one of them, you won't be able to read it back. Probably the lock bit. Once you've set the lock bit, you cannot read it back. Anyway, we'll install that into the board now. Let's get that new gal on there and see if that works. Now, the interesting point with this gal, the JEDEC has not come from Commodore archives. You know, it was never provided as far as I can see. It's actually been, this chip has been reverse engineered by Meades. I could have sworn he was on my Patreon at one point. I couldn't see him on Discord, but I'm sure he was there at some point in the past. It might not be the same guy. But anyway, yeah, a chap called Meades. I'll stick it there because I'm perhaps pronouncing that wrong, so there's a Z in there. You can see the legs are gull-winged there, can you see that? They're stuck outwards, they're splayed outwards. So if I just find a hard surface, the CPU chip will be fine here, and just roll it a little bit to almost get them 90 degrees, just to straighten them out somewhat. That'll do. Yeah, so Meades, as I say, reverse engineered this, and he's got it so it's 95% the same, I guess, when he's been looking at the signals with a logic analyzer, and it works. There are no issues. It passes the RAM test, and this is all this is related to here, the RAM. And something else I read about this is there was a jump point I talked about before. You can bypass this chip if you've got a Rev 2 DMAC. I think you can bypass this completely, and you don't need it. And I assume the RAM will still work. Anyway, so we've got the old one there, we've got the one we took from the other board, we've now got the gal on there. Let's try it. So is it going to work? I hope so. Yep, that's looking promising. I'm going to check that floppy drive in a minute. I am not sure why it is so noisy. It might be the button just hanging on the front or something. You can see there 2 mega fast. Let's test it. But that has to be the shortest repair on my channel. Seriously. So testing with SCSI here, I don't think it's working. We get an initial flash there, then it's looking at the floppy drive, and that's it. It is not booting. Yeah, so SCSI still didn't work after swapping the gal there or the WDC controller. But you can see with the, well, hopefully, hang on, is it frozen now? Yeah, with mine, look. Yeah, that error is kind of expected. Let me just power cycle it. It's saying that it needs kickstart 2 or greater, so I'm just going to connect a keyboard up. So I'll just reset my Amiga. Hang on, that's 1. Hold it down again for another 2 or 3 seconds. I'm waiting for a black screen here. Yeah, there we go. Black screen is good. And it's booting. It takes ages to boot, but I do have 4 drives on there, so that's part of the issue. So my A590 and my drive are okay. Oh, hang on, I'm just dragging the whole thing down, look. Yeah, we got 2 meg left there. Bear in mind it needs some additional RAM there to support those 4 drives. So I've swapped the ROMs over, and I think that's the issue, because you can see we're now getting some activity. Hang on, it is a bit slow. I don't know why. I need to consult the instructions for this. There is a way to set this so that it holds the ROM you were on, but the way things stand at the moment, I have to keep using Control Amiga to get to Kickstart 2 or Kickstart 3. And we booted up from the A590 there. You can see we have 2 meg of other RAM. That's from the A590, and 2 meg of graphics RAM. So that memory module does work, and I've tested it with sys-test and stuff as well. No worries. And you can see the same thing reflected there. We've got 2 meg of fast RAM from the 590 and 2 meg of chip RAM. Fantastic. So bear in mind, you're only going to get 2 meg of chip with an 8375. There is a version of the 8372, but you wouldn't find it on here. You may find it in an 83000 or something like that, probably. So I've got the version 7 ROMs on there. I'll show you this is booting, no worries at all. Something interesting I've noticed, can you see this on the LEDs? Fred Wilmer. So yeah, Flintstones reference there. That LED is a bit bent out of position. Anyway, we'll try and get this back into the case in a minute. The other thing you may want to do is obviously recap something like this. There's only a few caps on here, but the caps are good. And just like the one I showed previously on the channel, I taped the stickers there, you know, that were on here originally, so you could see the history for this board effectively. I swapped these chips back from the other board because we swapped them to try and diagnose what was going on with the SCSI. But it literally was the fact that the SCSI drive I had connected was too big. You know, the ROMs that were on here, 6.6, just couldn't deal with it. So it wasn't even attempting to boot from SCSI at all. You can see the wires here, so I'm going to just use a bit of hot melt glue now. So do exactly the same thing I did on that A3640 PCB, which is to literally cut some little pieces of hot melt glue. And I'll kind of route these away from this post here. I'll kind of pull them around like that. That seems like a good place to possibly stick the first blob, actually. Doing the same thing that Commodore did, you can see they used hot melt glue there to secure those. So anyway, I'll just pull them right in like that. Just pull that yellow up a little bit. Yeah, that'll do. So I'll just hold that in place. You could perhaps hear me blowing some cool air over it there. Just pull the yellow wire here a bit, like that. Yeah, so we'll secure it here, I think. Let's just add a little bit there. And I'll shorten that yellow wire in a minute. I'll do the exact same thing on the one that I showed previously on my channel. Oop, it's moving around a bit. How's it going? It seems to be going down this way, going towards that air, which is a bit weird. I've never seen that before. And of course you want to make sure they don't get pierced by anything nearby. Anyway, you can see what I mean now. There's just a little bit, perhaps more flexibility here than I would like. I'm saying it's heated up. It's not melting, is it? There we go. Yeah, and I'm just going to cut a little bit off, because it's just a tiny bit too long, perhaps. Not much too long, just a little bit. So if we snip it here, it's probably going to be too short now. I can see it coming. It's funny how sometimes things like that, they look deceptive. It can look like it's way too long, and then the next thing you know, it's too short. Oh no, I think that's going to be alright. I don't really like crossing the red and the yellow wire. It's like crossing the streamers in Ghostbusters. Let's try and route it away from the pins there. So, yeah, I mean, there's two things I could do. I can mount it here. Go on, let's just do that. Let's just mount it there. That'll do, I think. That's going to hold in place, and it's pretty tidy. So with drive power, I'm going to solder on a Molex connector directly here. I'm going to remove the connector here. One thought I did have was to solder them on here. You may think that's an alternative power connector, because it does say power for XT drive, but there's only like the 12 volts is joined up. The other three pins go nowhere. I could join with wires, but I may as well take that connector off. No one's going to miss it because all you have is an adapter that goes to one of these. So we'll solder this straight on here. So we'll just add some fresh solder and flux here. Might need to increase the temperature of the iron yet. There's only 3 pins here, so I can ignore the second one there. There's nothing lost by doing this. As I say, most people are not going to install a real SCSI drive anyway, probably. I would guess that most people would just go with something like I have, an SD2 SCSI, or a SCSI to SD I think it's called. Final one. And if we flip that over and just have a bit of a gentle wobble on this side, and the same thing I always do with chips and stuff, just to have a little pivot here. Yeah, they're moving. Yeah, and you can see that there. If I wobble it, can you see the pins are moving? So I just need to manipulate that off, really. There we go. So no pad damage or anything, that's fine. So I'll just strip these back. We only need 3 wires here, actually. I might join the 2 blacks together and try and feed them through the same hole. I'll just point out something weird with this. That's the pad we didn't desolder. There are only 3 connections. This here I thought was ground. If I test the ground on a meter, nothing. So those should be joined. They're not. That one there is the 12 volts. I can show you that, I think. Hang on. Or is that 5 volts? Yeah, that's 5 volts. This one here is 12 volts. So yeah, that is going nowhere. So when that cable comes off to the drive, normally you've got plus 5 volts, plus 12 volts, but no ground on it. So if your SCSI cable wasn't connected up, you'd have a missing ground. What you might want to do under those circumstances is join those 2 traces together there. Let's just confirm that again. Hang on. Yeah, plus 12, ground, that's nothing, and that one's plus 5. So as you can see here, soldered it directly on. I'll show you the underneath in a minute. Connect the drive up. So yeah, quite big solder connections on that. You need them, and I've joined those 2 there. So I've got 2 ground wires. I'll put a piece of paper or something, some card or something, just under there, just to test it. Spinning sounds healthy. Wow, it did start to boot. Let's just change the ROM to 3.1. See if it boots. So you can just about see somewhere down here the LED. Oh, you can see there actually. Yeah, it flashed there. It does take a while. I was looking at the floppy there. Booting, look. Just chunking away there. I think that's going to work. Oh, hang on. Please insert volume help. What the hell's that? Cancel. There we go, workbench. Sweet, fantastic, very cool. Someone must have had a CD-ROM drive connected, because that's a eject there that you would use with the SCSI CD. So this is Amiga OS 3.1 ECS. I don't know what this is at the top here. And the mouse is dead sensitive. This is set up totally different to my workbench. Maybe it's Workbench Classic or something. Let's have a look at work, see what's on that. Settlers, Virus Checker, iShard 2, Colonisation, Lottery, Battleships, Civilization. So I've booted again there. I can't believe it works. That hard disk is great. Interestingly enough, these quantum drives seem to have survived the test of time better than some other drives. Seagates, for example, just don't seem to have stood the test of time. But I've come across a number of quantum drives, certainly ones of my own collection, IDE ones primarily, that all seem to have survived really well. I wonder if sysinfo's on there or something else. What's ST? Why does it keep doing that thing when I move the cursor around? It's like, it keeps doing weird stuff with the cursor. Is that an ST emulator maybe? I wonder if there's a virus on this. Can you see it's acting a bit weird? Look. Oh, it's got like some sort of select thing going on automatic. You move the mouse and it automatically sets focus. I'm not sure I like that, to be honest. But anyway, I will keep this hard disk set up exactly as it is, as a little bit of history. But the nice thing is, obviously, I can then connect this up to my 500 and my 500 plus, you know, my proper case box units. And I've got a SCSI drive, which is really nice. I wonder how big this drive is. I honestly can't even remember how you see how big these partitions are. Is it on the main menu? Tools. It's information, isn't it? Yeah, that's not much help, is it? It just tells me how many blocks there are. I really don't like that automatically focusing thing. It's really annoying. It's like when you go in between these here, you get a slight delay as it, you know, it's selecting things. It's a little bit annoying, that. 639k free, 10 meg in use. It's not very big, is it? Is it a 20 meg drive or something? Probably is. Let's have a look at the work partition. Oh, hang on, that's, yeah, so the work partition, strangely enough, the work partition's 97% full as well, which is a bit weird, because up here it's saying there's an F, maybe there's an F partition, 69%. Unless F is the RAM drive, I don't know. That says 38 meg in use. So it's not a 20 meg drive. I wonder what F is. Let's just get a command line up. Let's go F. Hang on. Oh, it's doing that focus thing again. It's really annoying. Peter, there we go. So, Peter, is this your A590 hard disk? That's really weird. Obviously, there isn't an F drive. How does it know how big F was when F was there? Unless F's the RAM disk. Well, no, I don't think it would be. Yeah, that's 100% full. So I don't know what F is. That is really, really odd. In any case, it is working. Let's just see if we can find a game to load. I did try loading Settlers, but it's got the copy protection there. I haven't got the, you know, manual for that. You can't beat that hard disk sound. Yeah, that's working. Sweet. Load game in progress. Let's do that. Cheat. Someone's been cheating, haven't they? Let's do that. Let's load cheat plus Commodore plus Amber. That's what it's called, his character. Not sure if that's loading or struggling to load or what. No, it's loaded, look. Awesome. I think I'm going to mount that drive in the case now and get it all back together. So let's switch it off and listen to how it sounds when it stops. Very nice. So yeah, it's quite incredible that drive has survived all these years. One thing you do have to do sometimes on Quantums, you see the capacitors here, swap the caps, but generally these small through-hole ones seem to be okay. It's the SMD ones. Some of the later drives, larger capacity, had little SMD caps. There's not very many though. I see 1, 2, 3. So I mean, yeah, you could swap those, but you need like super miniature ones. They're really small, these. Just looking around this, you can see various things. Got RAM there, some RAM here. That's like a motor driver. You can tell it's like got these really big tabs on the sides to heat sink. That's probably going to be something similar to that as well. It's like interesting how it's a zigzag, the pin on top and bottom there, you know, 2 rows of zigzag in-sleeved pins. That chip there's marked Quantum. We've got a BIOS here presumably, and a couple of quad flat packs down here, another Quantum chip. That's a Toshiba part there, 3 crystals there, a fuse down here, 1 amp. Yeah, that looks like some sort of servo control or something. BA10324, I think. There's another one down here, look. Of course, it could be something else entirely. And you can see the jumpers down here for this as well. So at the moment, it's just got the EP jumper stuck on there, whatever that is. And then you've got the address, SCSI address jumpers there, A0, A1, A2. So you could have it in as a, as a different SCSI ID on your SCSI chain there. Anyway, that is really cool. It doesn't say anywhere what size it is, does it? It's just ProDrive LPS. 52S, maybe it's 50 meg. I don't know, I'm just guessing. So this is going to go like that there. Now it has been a bit bent and knocked, the shield, in the past, so might have to try and bend it back in position. I suspect when those 4 screws are on there, it's going to tighten it up and it's going to be almost correct actually. So I'll get 4 screws for that. Yes, here we go, at my screw collection here from yeah, I make it sound like I'm an anorak, I collect screws, seriously. Anyway, out my collection of spare screws. I've got better things to do than go around collecting screws, trust me. I've got some screws here. They're probably not exactly the same. In fact, that one's not. That's got like a different thing on the head there, but the threads, these are all identical in terms of the threads. They're slightly thicker. They're not the thinnest ones. You can get some really thin ones for mounting some hard disks. So that's back on there. Yeah, you can see here it is bent out of position. But when we push that shielding back on, it's going to be okay. I'm sure of it. So I think the next thing we'll do is just clean that ribbon, because it's got, where has it gone now? Yeah, you can see here it's got like a muddy mark on it. Anyway, let's see if that'll come off. Yeah, it's coming off, look. It's a strange colour, that brown. It makes me wonder if that's blood. Like someone's cut themselves on the shield and taken it to pieces and bled all over the cable. Anyway, it's disinfected with a bit of IPA now. It's well and truly welded into that bit there. Yeah, that's a lot better. So let's get the board back into here. I'm going to start with the back end here and just slide it into position like that. Yeah, so I've got that there. Just looking at the thread on that, I might have some more screws similar to that. I forget exactly where this was now. It was holding the board in somewhere here. But what would it have mounted onto? I don't know. If you push it through here, it's got nothing to go into, has it? Unless it's screwed through. It may well have screwed through those actually. Yeah, that's kind of holding in place. So that's really weird how that was assembled. Anyway, so with this jumper, it's XT or SCSI, so I'm going to stick that on and see if that works. Maybe the LED will light, because what was happening before, I think that one of the LEDs was on the power one, but the other thing was doing nothing. This here is bent, you can see that. Let's just try and straighten that out somewhat. So we'll squash it down that way first, and then bend it back out here and back down again. So yeah, that's kind of straightened now, and I guess this just sort of sits in here somehow. I don't know where it goes now. And then I guess it sort of sits here. I think these overlap there like that. Yeah, they do, that's it. And it overlaps on the sides there. So it's just a question of getting the lid back on and trying to find some screws to replace some of these with here. So you can see the cable didn't need to be anywhere near as long as this. It's ended up really long. So the slanted bits on that go towards the top. Yeah, that's that. Yeah, you can see that is going to cause me some problems now because it's so huge. How was that going to reach around there like that? How was that ever connected? I don't know, that's really weird. Makes me wonder if this ever even had this cable in there, because there's no way that could connect across there like that. Yeah, you can see that will fit like that. It's one of those optical illusions, but I mean, look how mangled and twisted it is. So yeah, I don't really approve of that cable. They could have designed it a bit better. This, cable back here would have been a bit better, wouldn't it, rather than offsetting it at an angle. But I guess it varied depending on what drive they had connected up. Let's clean out the annoying fan. I'm sure it's going to be annoying. Let's find out. We'll just clean right down here. It's pretty deep, that fan. Yeah, look at that. There's black in there. Oh my goodness, that is really dirty. I'm probably going to pick up Ebola or something from this. That is really bad, actually. I think I'm just going to unscrew the 2 screws here, take it out, and give it a bit more of a clean outside of it. It's going to be quite long. These go straight through to the lid, I think. Yeah, look at that. Yeah, it was a good idea to do that, I think. So I'm going to go wash the case and the sink in a minute. I've just peeled off that Velcro thing there, whatever it was, and it's left a sticky, gooey pad behind. It's gooey, it's like chewing gum. That's what it feels like. It's stuck on my nails now. Ugh. Right, I got that off. There's a little remnant of it here, can you see? I'll get some plastic cleaner on that in a minute and polish that up. But I thought I'd just show you this before I wash it in the sink. You can see it's all dusty and dirty. There's dirt embedded in there. We've got dirt down here. And it's just looking a bit dirty and dusty back here as well. So I'll get that in the sink and we'll see what it comes out like after a bit of a wash. I don't know what that is there, more like gooey stuff. And it's had a bit of a scrub in the sink, which now I need to dry it off, but you can see straight away, look how clean those air vent things are there. It's nice and warm as well, so it's probably going to aid drying because it's been in hot water. Anyway, yeah, that is looking so much better. It doesn't need retro bright or anything, this either. So I'll just get a little bit of Plastex. My Plastex is kind of blocked up at the nozzle. So see this mark here? I don't know if you can see it. Let's just see if we get that off with a little bit of polish. Yeah, and it has. It's come off though. Well, that does look great. Let's just try the same thing on that little mark there. So again, a little bit of Plastex. Yes, a bit stuck on that, I can feel it. You can see that is coming off. Yeah, miles better. Yeah, going over the wider area there, because otherwise you get a little bit of a shiny bit on the one bit you've polished. Yeah, that's consistent now, but the massive mark here is gone. And again, let's see if these little marks here come off with a little bit of Plastex. I mean, IPA will do the same thing, but this is like really gentle. Sometimes you have to rub a fair bit with IPA to have the same effect, but you can see that's gone. And the front is so much better there now. All the dirt is out of all the little nooks and crannies there. So back to the fan again. Let's give the underneath of this a wipe. Yeah, you can see it is very dirty, and we can get access down here now, look, with the cotton buds to clean all this dust out of here. It is really dirty though. It's certainly had a lot of use, that. You can't say it hasn't. I don't know whether this fan needs cleaning or burying, to be honest. It's so bad. Get a little bit of oil in there and oil the bearing actually while we're at it. So I do like a fan with a bearing like that, because you can just literally get a drip of oil in there and it should start to make a difference. You might need to take that side off and do the same there, really. There is a chance it's just going to sit on top of that and do nothing. Anyway, I'll just wipe off the excess because I don't want it flying around in the thing when it starts up. So I had to check back the footage there to see which way around this went, and it went this way, like this, with this bearing at the top here. So let's see if we can screw that back in. Yeah, that's in. Not over tight, because you see what's happened with these, you know, they've broken because it's been tightened too much, I think, or either that or it's had a drop. So that should plug back onto the 3-pin connector on the board, and you can see the 3-pin connector down there. I wonder if it matters which way around it goes. I'm not sure. Let's just see if the outer two are joined together. Yeah, they are, so it doesn't matter which two you get it on. So, hang on, I can't see what I'm doing here. Let's plug it back on. There's the holes at the top. Plug it there. And then if we sit that there, I think there's another piece of shielding somewhere. I don't see where it's gone now. Yeah, I thought there might be another piece of shielding there, but I don't think there is. I think that's it. I think now it should just sort of go back together somehow. Yeah, there we go. You can start to see the screw holes in the right positions there. Now bear in mind I haven't got the screws for this. So these here are a little bit fragile, just like they are on the C64 and Amigas, you know, mainly C64s. I tried a cable tie around there, but the problem with the cable tie is when it's on there, obviously it gets caught on here, yeah? You know, the notch on the end, the tab on the end, limits it. But I've got these from Hey Birds, I've had for ages. I used the other ones on my C64 case there. I'll stick a link up there to that. But it just so happens you can literally just either, there's two ways, you can either lob them in there like that, so you can see those are just sat in there, and then the lid will carefully fit into position. You've got to manipulate a bit just to get them in exactly the right position. There you go, they've gone in. And they're nice and snug around the thing. So I could just leave them like that, but you could also epoxy them on. So they're not super tight, but you could see that you could totally epoxy those on there if you wanted, like that. And of course the other possibility is to fix this here. I might do that actually. Epoxy that in place. You can literally fill that with epoxy, then when it's dried, drill it out enough with a screw and affix that post. So I might just do that actually, because the other positions are screwing in okay. So you can see I super glued these onto there actually, because they're nice and snug around there. They'll just support, because those did have slight little cracks in them. The next thing I'm going to do is just super glue a little piece of clear plastic on the end of that, because contrary to what I was saying, it doesn't shine quite as well. I think what I'm going to use is a piece of this. It's clear. It's a chip carrier, you know, so we could just literally cut a piece of plastic similar sort of size to that, and I'll try and glue it on, just to act as an extension, you know, a light pipe there. This is clear obviously, but I think it will do the job. So we just need a piece about that big, I think. And all I'm going to do, like I say, is just get a little bit of super glue and glue it on there like that. So surprisingly, I have some screws for this. I tested them out on the posts, they're just right. You can see they've got nice countersunk head. They're not too long. This post here is broken. Of course, we're not going to be able to screw through there, I don't think. We can try one there. Let's just see what happens with that one. Yeah, that's gone in as well, so I'm amazed actually that these are doing the job. So let's try these front ones. If these hold in place, that means the lid will be fine. Hang on. Again, that's gone in perfectly. Wow. I'm very pleased with that. There's only going to be one or two screws under here that are missing, I think. Let's try that one. Yeah, that one's not gripping. It's not long enough, that one. However, this one might be, but it's not countersunkless, so let's just see what happens with this one. Yeah, that's going in fine. Again, it's not sticking out too much, so yeah, a bit of a mismatch of screws, but beggars can't be choosers, that's for sure. So I'll try the remaining ones in these here just to see if they'll go in, but they might not. Wow, it is doing. So there we go, all screwed together perfectly. The other thing it would have had here, I think, is some sort of silvery shield or something, maybe screwed onto these points here, because there's a screw mount on either side here. So I'm guessing there would have been like a nice, chrome sort of piece of shielding over that. Maybe not, I don't know, because I can't see what else those screw mounts there would be for. But yeah, with a little bit of mixing and matching on the screws here, you can see the different heads and things on them. They're all countersunk. The main thing is, it is totally holding together. Even the post that was broken, you can see I can lift it by the shell. No worries. I'm going to get a little bit of plastic cleaner on the front here, just because I think that's been super glued. And yeah, I'm not sure how well it's showing it up on the camera, but it's just like a little bit dark here, like it's got a smeary fingerprint that got super glued to the front of it, perhaps. And of course we need to get these nuts on as well, so I'm just cleaning up those with the fiberglass pen, because they're just a bit oxidised at the back there. So we'll just try and get that one back in. There we go, it's going in. So I'm going to gently just go over the edge of that as well, actually. Then we'll wipe it with some IPA. So the LED should work this time. Let's switch it on, see what happens, hope it'll work. Yeah, so if that jumper was right on the inside, that should flash as the LED flashes. It did, brilliant. And there we go, she's up and running. One thing I'll point out, that fan, initially I couldn't feel any air here at all, it wasn't as loud. The wire, the SCSI wire, perhaps because I've got that power cable, quite long inside there, meant that it was kind of jamming against the fan, so I had to move the power cable to the left and move it away from the SCSI cable and flatten the SCSI cable down. And you can see it's gone back together, so it's held together okay. There's the odd little mark and scratch and stuff on it, but I'll tell you what, that is in excellent condition, really. So I've tested this a fair bit, I've not noticed any issues with it at all. I'll just see if I can find a game to test with here. Darts, let's have a go at that. So we'll do Tawny. We'll go with that with Dog and Duck. Please sign in. Gadget. Click here to continue. Why can't I click anywhere? That's a bit weird. Click here to continue. It's going to be like 180 this, isn't it? Or bullseye. Hang on. Play game. Oh yeah, very cool. Let's try and go for a treble 20 if we can. Oh, got 20. It's not bad, this. Oh, got treble 20 there. And another treble 20. Yeah, I don't think you can hear that. We've got speech there as well on the score. So close. Let's try and go for the bullseye. Oh, miles off. Oh, yes. I think you've got to get the score down to 0, haven't you? Oh, you got 140 again. The computer's cheating, I'm sure. Anyway, special thanks to Tom Meades for donating this to the channel. Much appreciated. It's another prized part of my collection. The other thing I'll point out is that I just did some checks on this chip here, measuring between ground and VCC to see if there were any shorts or any clues as to what might be wrong with that. But it's actually measures okay in terms of the I/O pins there. So it's probably something internal that's actually failed. Sometimes with those gals you will get a short to ground, as you will see in an upcoming video. And before I forget, thanks to Matze there for reverse engineering that and producing his own JEDEC, because otherwise would have been trying to source one from a spare board like this. This one's not got the sticker on there, but anyway, that's the one you saw in the previous video. So hopefully you found that interesting. If you'd like to support the channel, please see the Ko-fi and Patreon links down below. I'll catch you in the next video.